Alright, so Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2 just dropped a huge bombshell on us, and that's of course regarding a theory that's kind of prominent in the Marvel Universe. But without further ado, let's get to it. Has the theory of Stan Lee being a Watcher finally been confirmed? Alright, now before I start, I just want to reassure you guys, I'm not going to be spoiling anything from the Marvel Universe, especially Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2. So, don't worry about that. But I also want to touch on, before I get to the actual theory, I want to touch on what this actually means to the overall, Marvel Universe. And especially if you know nothing or know little about the Marvel Universe, you're probably wondering, what the hell is a Watcher? Well, the Watchers are an alien race known to be the oldest beings in the whole universe. With all their power and all their all-knowing knowledge, they choose to be observers, not interfering with anything that happens in the universe. And it's actually quite interesting to note, the fact they don't interfere is because at one point in time, they did in fact try to bestow their knowledge onto another race. But sadly, that race immediately killed itself. They pretty much went power hungry and destroyed themselves. So now they choose to just sit back and observe. They resemble humans in many ways, except for their very large heads. Which is an interesting thing to note due to the fact that, well, if Stan Lee was a Watcher, why does he have a huge head? Well, Watchers have a lot, and I mean a lot, of abilities. One of which is the ability to change the size of their body, which has been seen to be possible in the comics. Not to mention, Watchers also have the ability to teleport and travel through time, which explains why Stan Lee does not seem to age from his appearance in the 1940s all the way up to present day. So yeah, with that all out of the way, now let's get to the actual, proof of why he is in fact a Watcher. Well, in the movie Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2, midway through the film, we see Stan Lee in a spacesuit sitting among 3 Watchers, telling stories of his escapades, mentioning that one time he was a Federal Express man, clearly referencing his cameo in Civil War. And finally, at the end of the film, after the credits, we return to the same scene, only this time the Watchers are done listening to his stories and now walking away from him, where he funny enough tells them that they are his ride home, and he has no idea how he's going to get back. And on top of all this, he is credited in the end as the Watcher's informant. Alright, now let's unpack all of this. This Easter egg is pretty much the defining proof that shows that Stan Lee is in fact the same character throughout all the Marvel movies. And ideally, just the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not, like the ones that are extra, like Daredevil or Amazing Spider-Man, like those, I wouldn't really include them. I mean, due to the fact that, well, a Watcher can jump from, I guess, universe from universe, but regardless, let's just stick with the actual MCU. But yeah. In this case, it pretty much proves 100% that he's in fact the same character. But does it prove that he's a Watcher? Well, he is credited as a Watcher's informant, so he could easily be a human, informing, pretty much just keeping an eye on the Avengers for the Watchers. But this is where it kind of gets interesting, because not only is he the Watcher, people are speculating that he's a specific Watcher, and that's, of course, Uatu, the Watcher chosen to watch over Earth and its solar system. And this makes even more sense due to the fact that, well, Uatu's a bit of a screw-up in the, world of Watchers. One of the main rules for a Watcher is do not interfere. And as stated in the comics, he does do a bit of interfering. I mean, he's supposed to not mess with anything, not supposed to help anyone or anything. Yet, Uatu has been known to break the rules and help the Avengers. And also this viewpoint of seeing him as a screw-up kind of also gives credence to the actual final scene where the Watchers are walking away from him. They just don't want to listen to him. They're tired of his crap. And even during the scene when he's actually talking to them, they look at him in such disdain and like, oh, what does this guy have to say? Like, oh, great. It's in a weird way they see Uatu, even though he's a very, very powerful being and a very, very big ally to the Avengers and anyone else in the actual MCU. To them, he's just the guy who doesn't play by the rules, and he's the one who literally just keeps messing up, which is very, very funny and kind of fitting due to the fact that, well, Stan Lee is a very comedic character through and through all the MCU. And yeah, and that's pretty much the whole theory. I mean, this pretty much, at least in my eyes, proves the fact that he is a Watcher. Granted, some people could easily argue to the fact that, well, Watchers inform, and they can take it literally, they can easily be just a human being informing for the Watchers. But, well, if he was the same person, he would also have to be the same person in Captain America, the First Avenger, and as I said before, that was back in 1940, and he hasn't aged a day. So, it's a lot easier to see him as the Watcher, and of course, since he's a Watcher for Earth, he would have to be Uatu. But again, either way you look at it, it doesn't really matter whether you see him as a Watcher or Uatu. What really matters is the fact that he is the exact same character from every single appearance in the MCU. So even though you don't like to see, even though if you don't believe that he's a Watcher himself, he is the same person. And if you don't believe me, just listen to the director himself. In an interview with another Marvel director, Kevin Feige, he pretty much confirms the fan theory through a discussion he had with James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.2. James had that idea, and we shot the cameo and loved it so much. You know, you see it a couple of times in the movie. It wasn't in for a long time, and we put it back towards the end of the process where he references the time he was a Federal Express agent. So we thought it'd be fun to put that in there because that really says, so wait a minute, he's this same character who's popped up in all these films? So yeah, that pretty much proves that he's 100% the same character. Whether he's a Watcher or Uatu, that's a completely different story. Well, that's the video, and yeah, now, it's been confirmed 100% that he's the same character, but the theory still exists. Is he a Watcher himself? Now, personally to me, I believe 100%. I mean, before this new information, I was pretty much 100% sure that he was a Watcher. So, with this new cameo, I have no doubts that he's 100% a Watcher. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. I mean, do you guys believe he's a Watcher, or he's just a just normal human being that the Watchers decide to handpick and pretty much choose to be their essential spy for the Avengers and like the whole MCU? I mean, it's really cool to think about, and it is kind of funny because whether he's a Watcher or not, it's just a great role for Stan Lee. I mean, it's just hilarious. I freaking love it. But regardless, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.